Marie's illness. When Marie awoke from her deep, death-like sleep, she was lying in her little bed. The sun was shining into the room, sparkling on the ice-coated window panes. A strange gentleman was sitting beside her, but she soon recognized him as Dr. Wendelstern. "She's awake," he said softly. Her mother came over and gave her an anxious, questioning look. "Oh, Mother dear," Marie whispered, "have all the nasty mice gone away? Was Nutcracker saved?" "Don't talk such nonsense, child," said her mother. "What have mice got to do with Nutcracker?" "Oh, you naughty child. We've been so worried about you." That's what happens when children are headstrong and disobey their parents. Last night you stayed up till all hours playing with your dolls. You were sleepy, and a mouse may have come out and frightened you, though I can't believe we have any of those in our house. But that as it may, you struck your arm through the glass of the toy cabinet and cut it so badly that Dr. Wendelstern, who has just taken several pieces of glass out of the wound, says that if an artery had been cut, you'd have been left with a stiff arm for life, or might have even bled to death. Thank heaven I woke up at midnight and wondered where you were. I went into the living room and found you lying beside the cabinet in a faint, bleeding terribly. I was so frightened that I almost fainted myself. There you lay, all around you I see Fritz's soldiers and a lot of dolls, broken banners, and gingerbread men. Nutcracker was lying on your bleeding arm, and your left shoe was on the floor nearby." "Oh, Mother, Mother," Marie broke in. "There had just been a big battle between the dolls and the mice. The reason I was so scared was that the mice were going to capture poor Nutcracker, who was in command of the dolls. So I threw my shoe at the mice, and after that, I don't know what happened." Dr. Wendelstern gave Marie's mother a meaning look, and she said softly to Marie, "Never mind now, dear child. Don't worry. The mice are all gone, and the Nutcracker is safe in the toy cabinet." Then Marie's father came in and had a long talk with Dr. Wendelstern. He felt Marie's pulse, and she heard some talk of wound fever. She had to stay in bed and take medicine, and that went on for several days. Though apart from some slight pain in her arm, she didn't feel sick or uncomfortable. She knew that Nutcracker had come out of the battle safely, and sometimes she seemed as if in a dream to hear him saying to her quite distinctly, "Marie, dearest lady, I am deeply indebted to you, but you can do even more for me." She wondered what that might be, but in vain. She couldn't think of anything. She couldn't play properly because of her sore arm, and when she tried to read or leaf through her picture books, everything looked so hazy that she still had to stop. Time hung heavy on her hands, and she could hardly wait till nightfall, because then her mother sat down beside her bed and told her beautiful stories. She had just told her of the excellent story of Prince Facardin. Yes, that is his name, Prince Facardin. When the door opened and Godfather Drosselmeyer stepped in saying, "It's high time that I saw for myself how my poor little Marie is getting along." The moment Marie saw Godfather Drosselmeyer and his, oh, here's a beautiful picture. So the moment Marie saw Godfather Drosselmeyer and his short yellow coat, she seemed to see Nutcracker fighting his losing battle with the mice, and without thinking, she cried out, "Oh, Godfather Drosselmeyer, how ugly you were! I saw you sitting on the clock, covering it with your wings to keep it from striking aloud, because that would have scared the mice away. I heard you calling the king of the mice. Oh, why didn't you come to the Nutcracker's help, you nasty Godfather Drosselmeyer? It's all your fault that I hurt myself and have to lie here sick in bed." Marie's mother was horrified. "Dear child," she said, "what are you talking about?" But Godfather Drosselmeyer made strange faces and said in a rasping, monotonous voice, "Pendulum had to whir, softly purr, and couldn't strike. That's how pendulums are. But bells are ringing, ding-dong, bing-bong, bing-bong. Doll girl, don't be frightened. Bells are ringing loud and long, to chase the king of mice away. Owl comes flying, black and gray. Pick-peck, pick and peck, bells are ringing, clocks are whirring, pendulums can't help whirring, snick and snack, whir and purr. Marie stared wide-eyed at Godfather Drosselmeyer because he looked entirely different and much uglier than usual and was moving his right arm back and forth like a marionette. She would have been really afraid of him if her mother hadn't been there, and if Fritz, who had turned up in the meantime, hadn't interrupted him with loud laughter and cried out, "Goodness gracious, Godfather Drosselmeyer, you are really funny today. You make me think of the jumping jack that I threw behind the stove the other day." But the children's mother said very gravely, "Dear Judge Drosselmeyer, what a strange rigmarole. What is the meaning of it all?" "My word," said Drosselmeyer, laughing. "Didn't you know my pretty watchmaker song? I always sing it to little patients like Marie." With that, he sat down at Marie's bedside and said, "Don't be cross with me for not putting out all 14 of the Mouse King's eyes. That wasn't possible. Instead, I brought you something that will really give you pleasure." With that, he reached into his pocket, and guess what he took out? Nutcracker, whose lost teeth he had put back in very neatly and firmly, and whose broken jaw he had fixed as good as new. Marie cried out for joy, but her mother said with a smile, "You see how good Godfather Drosselmeyer is to your Nutcracker?" "And Marie," the judge broke in, "you'll have to admit that Nutcracker is no great beauty. Now, if you like, I shall tell you how such ugliness came into his family." "Oh, yes, it's been handed down from generation to generation. Or maybe you already know the story of Princess Pirlipat, the witch mouse rings, and the clever clockmaker." "Hey, Godfather Drosselmeyer," Fritz interrupted. "You put Nutcracker's teeth in just right, and his jaw isn't as wobbly as it was. But why hasn't he got a sword? Why haven't you given him one?" "My dear boy," said Drosselmeyer testily, "you always have to complain. Why should I worry about Nutcracker's sword? I've cured his bodily ills. It's up to him to find himself a sword if he wants to." "That's a fact," said Fritz. "If he's worth his salt, he'll get himself the weapons he needs." "All right, Marie," the judge went on. "Tell me if you know the story of Princess Pirlipat." "No, I don't." "Oh, tell it, Godfather Drosselmeyer." "I hope," said the children's mother, "I do hope, dear judge, that this story won't be as gruesome as your stories usually are." "Oh, no, dear lady," said Drosselmeyer. "On the contrary, this is a fairy story." "Oh, tell it, dear Godfather," the children cried, and the judge began. And there's a picture of him. There's Godfather Drosselmeyer.